everyone and welcome to a new video. If you're new here, hi, my name is Ellie. I'm a long distance hiker and backpacker, and over the last couple of years I've walked a couple of thousand kilometers with my dog Otto, and this year is not going to be any different. Otto and I are just about to set off into this year's hiking season, and the first trail we're going to attempt this year in April is the Cape Wrath Trail in Scotland. If you're not familiar with the trail, it's a 230-mile long trail from Fort William across the northwestern part of the Highlands all the way to Cape Wrath. And because I always get a lot of questions about my gear that I'm using for my through hikes with Otto, I'm just going to show you everything that I'm going to take on the Cape Wrath Trail. Just before we start, I'm not an ultralight backpacker, although I aim to be as lightweight as possible, obviously, but to be really ultra light, for most people, that would be a base weight under 5 kilograms. And obviously, if you've watched a couple of my videos, you know that I'm filming my hikes and also I'm editing on trails. So I have quite a bit of electronics that I take with me, and then also obviously Otto stuff. So for me, it's not really doable to be ultra light when I'm hiking with Otto, when I'm filming everything and editing on trail. I haven't weighed everything yet, especially the newer items, but my base weight will be between 8.5 and 9 kilograms. I really hope it's below 9 kilograms. But I'm going to put all the items, the different items and their weight in my lighter pack gear list that I'm going to link in the description down below. If we start with the big four, first up is my backpack, and that's something new that I'm going to take on the Cape Wrath Trail. I'm going to use the Atom Pack's Prospector 50, which is a 50-liter pack. I've only used it a couple of times on a couple of overnight trips, but I'm really enjoying it. It has a great layout when it comes to the pockets. Most importantly, it carries the weight very comfortably, and because you can customize the backpacks with Atom Packs, I'm really happy that I have one now that has a small hip belt and a medium torso length, which I think is perfect for me. And then obviously I use a pack liner. This is just a Nylofume pack liner that I've had for years. Then number two, my sleep system. I'm going to take my old faithful Thermarest Neo Air X Lite. This is not the newest version yet, so I still have the torso length 120 centimeters version, which I really enjoy. I've had this same sleeping pad for 3 years now, and a cheap lightweight inflatable pillow. And then that's also something that has been with me for over 3 years. So this is my quilt. This is the Creme Expert E-Light quilt with Apex 233. And because April in Scotland can obviously be quite cold, I'm probably, not 100% sure, but probably going to bring my C2 Summit sleeping bag liner. So I think for the colder temperature, that's definitely worth taking. And then number four of the big four is my tent, obviously. I'm going to take the Durston X-Dome 1 Plus, which I tried out last year and really liked it. I'm really interested to see how it performs, but I'm very confident now with it, so I'm going to take that. Then my DIY self-made ground sheet, which is just a piece of Tyvek that I cut to size. Then obviously the pole set to go with it, a little microfiber cloth for condensation that I always carry. And then 12 packs. I'm mostly using the MSR Groundhog and the Groundhog Mini. Then the next category is going to be clothing. I'm going to take 3 pairs of underwear, 1 sports bra. Then for my hiking clothes, usually I always wear a t-shirt and then a fleece over it. But because it's still April, I'm going to wear a long sleeve merino shirt for hiking, and then the Senshi Designs Alpha 90 fleece, which is a very thin, lightweight, breathable fleece with a hood. But because the weather is quite changeable and it can also be quite warm in the Highlands already, I'm going to take a t-shirt. And then for bottoms, I'm just going to take this hiking leggings that has these reinforced parts for the knees that I really enjoy. They are really comfy. They're a bit sturdier. And then for the outer layer, I'm going to take my wrap synthetic jacket with a hood that's also really lightweight. It packs down really small. And then for my socks, I'm going to take 3 pairs as always. 1 pair of Injinji toe socks, 1 pair of Darn Tough hiking socks, and then another pair of Darn Tough socks that I'm going to use at night for at camp that will always stay dry. And then, because obviously it's Scotland, it's quite boggy, I'm going to take my sealskins waterproof socks as well. Then, of course, my rain clothes. I have my Patagonia Storm 10 rain jacket that I washed and re-waterproofed, that I've had for 2 years now, that I really like. And for my rain pants, I have the Patagonia Torrent Shell 3L that I'm also very happy with. They're not the most lightweight, but they're very sturdy. Then I have 2 buffs, 1 for wearing around my neck when it's cold, and 1 to use as a headband. Then a thin pair of merino gloves and a beanie. And then a pair of waterproof mittens that are very lightweight. And last but not least, a cap and sunglasses. For sleeping or to wear at camp, I'm going to bring these down booties that I wouldn't buy anymore because it's down, but I've had these for years and years and they're still going strong, so I'm still using these. And for my sleeping clothes, I have a merino long sleeve and a pair of merino leggings. And then, because it's April and it can still be frosty at night, I'm also going to bring my insulation pants. They are made from Apex 67, I think, so they're not heavy, they're very lightweight, from Graham Expert. And then last but not least, I'm not entirely sure if I'm going to bring these. It depends a bit on the long range forecast. If I'm going to bring my micro spikes with it, I probably will bring them. And also a pair of warm winter gloves. If the weather is very stable or if there's a heat wave that's forecast, I'm probably not going to take these. Just depends a little bit on the conditions. And then for footwear, I'm going to bring my Ultra Olympus 6 that I'm going to use for the trail. A pair of black diamond gaiters, again for bogginess, for wet weather, for river crossings. And a pair of flip-flops, very lightweight, to wear in the evenings at camp. Next up is going to be Otto stuff. As always, I'm taking a couple of segments of a Thermarest self-foam mat, a lead and a harness for him, his little squeaky toy, his fleece jumper that he wears at night if it's cold, like it is in April, his lightweight top quilt that I got custom made from Graham Expert that I can just put over him and secure with a couple of snap buttons. And that's something new that I'm going to carry on this hike, which is actually a carrier for him. I'm not really planning to use it a lot, but I just wanted to have it if he's injured, because obviously it's a lot more remote than the trails that we have hiked recently. And also there are a lot of river crossings, and usually I would just carry him in my arms, but obviously that's a bit hard sometimes with my balance and everything. So this can be attached to my backpack so that I have an option to carry him but still have my hands free. Then his water bottle and food bowl, some paw cream, a roll of poop bags, a little comb to search for ticks, booties for him for emergencies. And then in here I carry a very lightweight towel if it's really wet, if he's muddy. Next up are toiletries. I'm going to carry some wet wipes, a very lightweight towel. This is the C2 Summit Airlight. Then for my toiletries, I'm only going to take the essentials, a little bit of Dr. Bronner's soap, toothpaste, toothbrush, nail clippers, earplugs, comb and mirror, a couple of hairpins and hair ties, some chapstick and a bit of face cream. And then my toilet kit, which is this pea cloth that I'm always taking. Then a very lightweight trowel, some Kleenex and hand disinfectant. Then next up, first aid stuff. I'm carrying both things for me and for Otto in here, so it's a bit more. I have a couple of pain meds, Imodium allergy meds, something like that. Then a couple of band-aids, blister band-aids, a bit of kinesiology tape, then an emergency blanket, some leukotape, small pair of scissors, a bit of antiseptic iodine cream, a bit of gauze, some elastic wrap, wet wrap for Otto, and most importantly a tick remover as well. Then for water, I'm going to take my pure clear filter and then my Nalgene bottle that I'm also using as a hot bottle at night. And then this is something new because I was a bit tired of these disposable 1 liter bottles. So I got the CNOC Thru bottle. It's a 1 liter bottle, and as you can see, it's really tall and narrow. It fits perfectly into the side pockets of my backpack. So really excited about that because obviously it's reusable. You can just wash it. And for cooking, I'm going to take a 220 gram gas canister that typically lasts me at least 7, closer to 10 days most of the time. And then I have my old trusted Tokes titanium pot, which is the, I think, 950 milliliter version in this homemade DIY pot cozy, which helps to trap the heat to rehydrate food better. And in here I have a small towel that I use to wipe my pot, my collapsible C2 Summit cup, and then my stove, which is the MSR Pocket Rocket 2, a lighter, and this tiny bit of sponge that I use to also clean my pot. Then for food, I'm going to take this bag as my food bag. Obviously it's almost empty still because I haven't packed my food just yet, but I'm going to bring my long handle Tokes spork. I already have in here a small bottle with oil, cold pressed oil, that I'm going to add to my meals. And also this little Nalgene bottle with some supplements. Then next up, this little pouch which holds my miscellaneous items, so to say. A spare lighter, then some super glue, a bit of tent fabric, repair patch for my thermarest, sleeping pad, and a couple of cable ties. Next up are my electronics. First up, I'm going to take this waterproof case for my phone. Then my iPad with the Apple Pencil that I use for editing. And then this pouch holds all my electronics, a couple of USB-C cables, cables for my GPS watch, then my FlexTail Zero pump that I really love to inflate my sleeping pad, a little USB-C microphone that I use for editing, the charging case and 2 spare batteries for my camera, a little notebook, a couple of pens, just a couple of spare camera bits, a USB-C wall plug, and my 25,000 milliampere power bank. It's my Garmin InReach Mini that I'm going to take, then my GPS watch, the Suunto Race S, and my FlexTail headlamp. Then a couple of miscellaneous items. My hip bag, which is the Atom Pack Thru that I've had for years in another color, but that I really love. Then this phone mount that I can attach to my tripod. Then a cheap pair of headphones, some chapstick, and I'm also going to take my wireless headphones, a small wallet, Otto's passport and my passport. And then last but not least, the Harvey's maps for the Cape Wrath Trail. I'm also going to take a compass and also the guidebook. This is everything that I'm going to take on the Cape Wrath Trail. Obviously, things that are still missing is dog food for a couple of days. I think I'm going to carry about 6 to 7 days worth of food for the first stretch, starting in Fort William. So I still need to add that, obviously, and my own food for also 6 days probably. So there's going to be a little bit of weight that's going to be added, but for the main part, this is it. I really hope you've enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think, and yeah, I'm really excited. Not long now until Otto and I set off. Definitely stay tuned for that. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, if you don't want to miss the next videos from the Cape Wrath Trail and from the other hikes that I have planned this spring. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for your support, your kind messages, your encouragement, and I hope I see you soon. Bye!